Bonifilio, Inner Realms, Outer Journeys. I have the pleasure of interviewing Theresa again. Say hi, Theresa.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
You are in for a treat today. Teresa's going to talk about a couple different things, and she has a really cool story to share. Actually, she's got two really cool stories to share. Let me remind you about her. She lives in Eugene, Oregon. She's been practicing mediumship for about 11 years now, and she's provided hundreds of readings, not only in person but remotely. So you can do this too with her all over the US, Canada, Mexico, Australia, and Ireland. And we have to add Thailand in there. And you're going to find out why I said that. And most important message she can give a client is a healing message from spirit. But you know what else is really cool? She has mentorship programs where she can assist you and others in growing their gifts and doing past life readings and using the Akashic Records. And
Yes.
we're going to talk to her about a book she has written, another book that's in the works, and about the Akashic Records. So she's going to be a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just going to let her take it away. So, Teresa, would you like to start with your books?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Karen. It's a pleasure to be with you again. This is always so fun. I
I
love,
know.
love, love talking about spirit. It's always my favorite subject. No matter where I'm at, it always ends up circling back around to spirit. I love it.
Mhm.
And yes, I have been practicing for 11 years. I've been writing books, been really feeling the need to help the kids. This is something that's just really at my heartstrings, kids with
Yeah.
spiritual gifts. But the first book I wrote was about my granddaughter in spirit. Um, Adelie the Angel Becomes a Sister. She came to me. My granddaughter died 4 years ago next week, and she was stillborn at 7 months. And so she was coming to me and letting me know, hey, I'm going to have a brother. I'm going to have a brother, long before my daughter was pregnant, long before she even thought about wanting another child. And so I started to write things down, didn't tell anybody what was going on. I just started to write them down. And I started to realize it was a little book form, little stories, and she was coming to me every night for several weeks in my dreams. And so had a reading with another medium and who's back east, and she said, your granddaughter in spirit is saying, Grandma, why haven't you written the book yet? And I knew right then and there, it wasn't only my imagination. It wasn't just a feeling I needed to do. It was for real. Started writing it, finishing it, started publishing it. My daughter found out she was pregnant, and she did have a little
Ooh,
boy. And I do have a little grandson.
that's cool. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
When you were having those dreams, did you share that with your daughter?
Nope. I never shared anything with my daughter at all until the day the book came out, and I handed it to her. She had no
Oh,
idea. And
gosh.
she and I are extremely close, and I saw her every day. It was the hardest thing to do. She knew I was writing a book, but I always told her I was writing a book about something else. And so when I talked about the book, I would just say the book, and she had no
The book.
idea.
The book. I
Yeah.
don't know who's here, but I am freezing. I have chills. I don't know if it's your
That would be
granddaughter.
my granddaughter.
Oh
Everybody
my,
always says that when I talk about her. They're like,
oh my
oh,
gosh.
yes,
Okay. What's her
crazy.
name?
Adelie, Adelie
Adelie.
Rose.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's very strong.
Very strong.
Okay.
Very,
Okay,
very
I'm
strong.
sorry.
So yeah, the book is just about her still being in our family. It was really important for her to know that, to her mom or dad, to me, her brother, that she is still with us in every sense of the word. When we go to the beach, when we go on a walk, when we do these things. So that's what the book incorporated, was her always there with us in the background. When my daughter gardens, when my daughter's with her horse, she's always wrapped around my daughter. And so that's why I wanted to write that book.
Oh boy, I bet your daughter cried when she
She did. She reads it to my grandson, and I just did a photo shoot with him last week, and I included the book, reading the book to him. That was super important to me, and now I have that picture forever.
I bet gosh, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was gonna react this way.
It's an
Um,
emotional subject.
I'm just gonna let you talk, okay?
Well, I'm on to other books now. I have actually three in the makings now. One I'm
Oh
working on really
no.
hard. Like my said, my goal is to help children with spiritual gifts, because I didn't have help growing up seeing spirit. I didn't have any understanding from anybody around me, and I was just told to just shush. this is too scary. Don't talk about this stuff. And then my daughter started
Oh,
to see spirits, and I didn't know how to help her because no one helped me. And so by the time my gifts came out and I was an adult, and I said, you know what? My life goal now, help kids. So all my books in the future are all going to be about kids with spiritual gifts and how to help them from a parent
oh,
standpoint.
that's great.
Yeah,
Because kids are so in tune to spirits,
they
as
are.
are my dogs.
Yeah, they can feel them. Dogs always start barking whenever I started reading with somebody
Right.
on Zoom.
Yeah, this is an interesting session so far.
I love it. I love it. Spirit always shows up no matter what. So yeah, so that's my journey with my books, and I've always written. I've always written poems. I've always written little short stories, and it hasn't been until the last few years where it was just like, do it, do it, do it. And I have the courage now, and I have the means to do it, and I have the ability to do it, and I'm not afraid of anything anymore. When it comes to trying something new, I'm like, let's do it, let's go. And
Oh,
so, yeah, I just started to find illustrators and publishers and this and that. We did publish it on Amazon, self-publishing. But my goal with my next books, all the next books, is to find a publisher. That's really, I want a publisher that really will invite me in and make it bigger than it is for like off of Amazon. It's so hard to market, and it's so hard to do that when I want them out there.
I have two recommendations for you then. We'll
Ooh,
talk later.
yay.
Oh, yeah,
See,
I
you
do.
never know why I've had a little spirit whisper that in my ear.
Yeah,
I
two that
love
I,
it. I
yeah.
love it.
Also, is your granddaughter going to be in each book telling that story?
The funny thing is, in my next book, my illustrator friend actually in one of the scenes put it in the book with the Adelie the Angel book there, like reading to the class, and I didn't ask her to do that. And there it is. So I want to try to get a little plug of each book, of like a plug of my granddaughter in spirit in each book somehow. And there's also a bluebird in one of them, and the representation for my granddaughter is a bluebird. And so there's this little bluebird. So there's always a piece, and I'll know it. It's not always going to be known to the reader.
You know, as a retired school teacher, we always like when we're reading to the class and there was something for them to look for in every
Yes.
page.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so you could incorporate the bird and your
Oh,
granddaughter and, okay, if you see, don't tell, wait till I finish the story and then
I love
wait till I
that.
finish this page, and if you find, raise your hand. And that keeps the kids engaged. So
I love that.
food for thought on that. Yeah.
Oh, I will definitely do that. I really love that idea. Little did I know we're already doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Okay, so that's, and books for children on grief and spirits are not out there.
They're
So
not.
this kudos to you for taking that on. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
good.
that's the one of the most important things for me was when my when I wrote this book, my sister has actually lost three children. She lost two babies many, many years ago, and then recently lost her son, grown son. And she just
Oh,
wishes that back then, when her grown son was this 5-year-old boy who lost his sister, that he had something to understand that my sister's dead, and I don't know how to tell my class that. He would go and,
oh,
my sister died, and everybody was like, you're weird, and this poor little boy grew up
yes.
with this grief and didn't understand what he was even saying, what death was, what it meant, if there could be something more structured for them. And that's one of the reasons that I want the books to tell the story for them, be able to
And the
open up a dialogue.
And the teachers need that too. Teachers
Absolutely.
are not taught how to talk about death and grief and
We really
such.
aren't. No, they really aren't. They really
Yeah.
aren't. And it's such a taboo subject. For so many reasons, anyways. But for so many people, they just can't talk about death. It's like, I don't want to make a will. I don't want to think about death. I mean, adults do it all the time, but let alone children. How are we supposed to explain to children when a friend of theirs died? Being
Hmm.
sick in school, or somebody got in an accident. We need to make this more open. Life and death are part of life, and so
They
it needs
are.
to be talked about more. And so I just feel like I need to be that person to kind of push it.
I remember my a fellow I was mentoring in school. He was teaching first grade. No one told him this, and one of his children came to school and said, in a sharing circle, my mom was murdered last night over a drug deal. He had no clue. All the kids freaked out. They're crying because they think their moms are going to be murdered.
Oh,
And
wow.
I know you got to prepare, you
Yeah.
know, the
Kids need
teacher
some
and
kind
the
of
kid.
preparation. Yeah.
And you just don't
Ooh,
send your kid to school the next day. So
right? How is that even possible that they they did that?
I
But
know.
every, so many different family dynamics going on out there.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
wow.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what you're going to come across, especially being a teacher. Wow, I can't imagine. That must have been really rough to experience for the
And he
teacher.
was a new teacher at that.
Ooh,
He was a new, this is his first year, and here he's
wow.
wasn't seasoned yet. Well, so,
Ooh.
yeah. So that, I love that you're going to have a set of books. All right. So that's great. All right.
Thank
So
you.
the Akashic Records. Um, let's explain it to people like they don't even know, and then tell us about that experience that you had,
Okay, sure.
because that
So
experience is so cool.
it is. I've been having a lot of fun with the Akashic Records. For anybody that doesn't know, the Akashic Records is a set of, it's like a database up in the universe, and it's every thought we've had, it's every life we've had, it's every thought we're gonna have, it holds everything inside of all of our souls, and we have our own books up there. And when I was a very young medium, I remember having an incredible experience of having a meditation I was in with my group, my circle group, and I couldn't come out of it. I was like so involved in this meditation, and I was up in the heavens, the stars, the universe, and I was traveling. I only way I can explain is like astro traveling. And I came to a door, and I remember this big beautiful door, and I wanted to open it, and they wouldn't let me open it. When I say they, there was like a being there of light, and they were just like, you're not ready yet. And I was like, okay. And so matter of fact, like, okay. And then I was back in like my body, back with my group, going like, I just had the weirdest experience. I didn't even know what the Akashic Records was. I had never even
Oh,
heard of it back then. That's why it was so like phenomenal. So when I started to do a little bit of research just in the last few years, I was just like, oh, I've been there. I wonder if they'll let me in now. It was so matter of fact to me. And so the last couple of years, I've been very interested, and I've been taking classes after classes, reading, doing a lot of meditations. And all of a sudden, one day, I was told by Spirit, like, you have the gift, you're a medium, you can do this. And I was like, oh,
ooh,
okay. It works the same way when I do Akashic Record past life reading as I do communicating with Spirit, because they're showing me these pictures in my head the same way they do when I'm talking to Spirit. And so it's like no difference to me. It's just a past life. And so I had this phenomenal man in Thailand reach out, and I didn't know if he was going to have like a language barrier to me because he was in Thailand. I knew nothing about him. And and he set up a past life reading after our last session when we were talking about it, and for like a quick little glimpse. And he found me on YouTube from you, so thank you.
I think that is so cool.
It was really neat. It was really neat because a lot of people have a lot of knowledge about it, and so when it just is in their face on a YouTube video, it's kind of cool. So
Hmm.
I started reading for him, and he was totally open. He didn't tell me anything about himself. I knew nothing about himself, and he
Good.
kind of had his phone in this little like down here, so you know how you see up their nostrils kind of thing. It was more like how guys do that. They just tend to do that, and it's just like I didn't say anything. It was
So
just on his desk.
unflattering.
And it was, and so I didn't pay attention to it, but I know he had a hat on, but I couldn't have looked at his hat because of the
Hmm.
angle. It was in this upward angle,
Hmm.
or downward angle looking up. And so I started with, I see water around you. I see you on boats. I see you in many lifetimes on boats. And in the beginnings of some of his past lives, I saw him rowing the boat as a slave and being murdered at least 3 times because he did not want to take anybody's command. And it was just like, and so he fought. And then I saw him on boats and looking for land. I kept on seeing like he was the one that would look and search, and he was like the leader. And you could always tell he was in a leader role. and very I want to be up front kind of a thing. And I was talking about this, and his eyes were big, then small, and then big and small, and he wasn't really saying much. And he goes, and I said, "You want to add anything?" He goes, "Nope, just keep talking. I love this." And I just kept showing him what I was seeing, and he goes, "Can I show you something?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes like this, and he leans his head down, and it said Navy. And I go, "Are you kidding me? Were you in the Navy in this lifetime?" He goes, 30 years. As I ended up being a commander. He goes, "Water is my thing. I have to be on a boat. I love being on a boat." And he goes, "So what you're saying resonates with my soul so much." And it gave us both the chills. And he loved the way that I talked about how he was a slave, enslaved and rowing the boat, because it was like he knew his soul needed to work up to a certain level to be able to be in power. He wanted to be in control, but not in a way of like, I gotta be in control. He has a very loving soul, like a very loving soul. Like he needed to be there to like protect people. He wouldn't have been one of the people that killed a slave or killed anybody or anything like that. He wanted to protect, and he told me he looks after his crew like baby chicks. He protects. And so it was this really cool, beautiful way that it flowed, and it really made sense to him. And he also had a past life of going across the east to the west, discovering land. And he was the one in the front, again, with the wagons and the horses and this and that. And he said he had an unusual pull to the Oregon Trail, where actually he flew to Oregon to see the end of the trail. And so everything I said completely matched up with like what was going on in his life throughout his lifetime. So that is how the Akashic Records, the past lives, work. I just tune into what they're showing me, and Spirit is the one guiding me. I think his dad was the one helping me, if I recall right. I don't always remember whose, but somebody is always kind of guiding me. And I said, "Did your dad have diabetes? I want to remember something about diabetes." He goes, "Yeah, he died from diabetes." And I said, "He's here, and he's kind of leading this. He wants you to know these things." So he was like, wowed. I was wowed because I hadn't done a lot of them yet, and I've done more since. And every experience is just right on, and people are really loving that knowledge of themselves, and it always intertwines with something that's going on in their life right now, which is really cool.
So I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
One is out of curiosity. Why was he murdered so many times?
That drive, I think, to be not told to do this. Like, I don't want to be at this level. I want to be higher. And he just fought. His soul was just like, no, I'm a commander. I'm this, I'm that. And so I think that was his drive to keep on pushing forward. So his next life, he'll have that memory of like, I'm not going to be pushed down. I'm not going to be pushed down. It's like we need a reminder with each life. And we'll always have these little things that happen in our lifetime to make us kind of drive a little harder. You could be born really poor, and you really want that drive to have some wealth. Well, you're going to have a lot of poor lives before you get there, because it's like, how bad do you want it?
Yes.
That's how I feel anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you take him in a process to go up to the Akashic Records, or how did you do that?
That's more of a regression, and I was doing regressions on people. But what I kept on finding with regressions was you have to get them there. With past life readings using the Akashic Records, I'm seeing it, so I can just freely give it instead of trying to get you can spend an hour trying to get a client into a place where they can start seeing it for themselves, but you may never get them there. And so that didn't interest me at all. I was just like, no, I really feel like I can do this more quick, and they'll get more information. And so far, so good.
So they would just book, instead of a spiritual reading or a psychic reading, it'd be an Akashic Records reading.
I have that on my website on healingheartsmedium.com. You click on all the things at the top. There's classes if you want to do a mentorship. There's mentorship if you want to order my book. That's there too. So I have a little space, and one of them is the Akashic Records reading.
To me, also I call it Akashic. Am I saying it wrong?
I don't think anybody says it wrong. It's however it comes out of your mouth.
Tomato, tomato.
Tomato, potato, yeah.
So I've heard if you're kind of stuck in this life, it's kind of good to take a little travel to the Akashic Records to find out why you might not be moving
Absolutely.
forward.
There's always
Or
some correlations. Yeah. I was doing one with a gal, and in this lifetime, she didn't want to make a commitment to a husband, to a man. She was just like, I just can't make this commitment. I can't do it. And when I took her back, I saw her in the prairie days, kind of like Little House on the Prairie, 1800s, and her husband died, and subsequently all her children died, and she was left all alone, and she had to go the rest of her lifetime in this alone state. And she was just like, I don't want to have that loss again. So she just kind of in this life kind of protected herself from loss and from feeling that horror. And so and she says that makes more sense to me than anything else that I've ever heard. And when I said that to her, she was just like blown away by that. And I love that. I love blowing people away because I don't know what I'm going to say, and I don't even know what I'm saying when I'm saying it. I'm just seeing pictures in my
right.
head and I'm saying them. I had a really fun one since I've talked to you last. Can I
Hmm.
share it?
Of course. Yeah. I
I've
love
given
stories.
I've given a reading to this gal back east in North Carolina several times, her and her sister, and she even took some classes from me, and I love her to death. And she has the best accent, that North Carolina, that y'all thing. Oh, I love it. I
She
love
doesn't say
accents.
bless your heart.
Oh, I love it. It just makes me so happy. And her reading, I didn't want to say it out of my mouth. I was kind of embarrassed to say it. And she goes, Teresa, why don't you just say it? Just say it. And I said, oh my God. And I said, okay, so I'm seeing like in England area, because I keep on seeing cobblestone like bricks, like the grounds, and we don't have
Right.
those here. So I kept on seeing on in England area,
Mhm.
something in Europe. And I said, you inherited this big home. Your family was rather wealthy, but you inherited the home, but then you couldn't do anything. You know, being a woman, you had very limited back then. It was like the 1800s or something, you know. And I said, you inherited this home, but you were just like, she didn't have a husband, she didn't have children, she didn't want all that stuff,
Oh,
and so she started taking people in off the streets, and I said, you were helping people, and I go, but I don't want to go to the next level. And she goes, what? And I go, she goes, just tell me. I go, you were a madam. And she started cracking up, and she goes, okay, that actually relates to me in a way. And she goes, not that I've ever been a madam, but she says, but Teresa, I was 12 years old, and my dad was talking about prostitutes and how upset he was that there's prostitutes and it's just disgusting. And she says he was like, you know, that kind of thinking way before it was even a thinking kind of a
mhm.
thing. And it disturbed her. And she went to him one day at 12 years old and said, you know, Daddy, prostitutes have to work too. Sometimes it's just to feed their children and to be able to live. And she had no idea even like what she was
Why she
saying
did
out of her
that.
mouth.
Mhm.
She was
Mhm.
just like, it just came out. I was the protector. And I said,
Mhm.
that's the way you saw your women, your girls in your madam
Mhm.
state. You protected them. You actually got them off the street, because they would have been murdered on the street. They would have been raped every night anyway. These
Mhm.
girls chose to do this. They saved money, and then they moved and they got families of their own. You actually helped them get through very rough times in their life. And she was just bawling by the end of that. She goes, that just makes me feel so useful, and so like why I feel
Mhm.
the way I do about women that have to do these horrible things for themselves and for their children. She
It's a
says,
great story.
it's just, yeah. So that was like funny, which turned into a very meaningful, beautiful message.
Mhm. That really
But you
is.
never know what you're going to get. And I would have never thought that would have come out during that reading at all. Not even a little bit.
From a Southern lady, a Southern belle.
It was hilarious, but man, she said I could relate, and something else, some other stories I said she related every single time. So it was really cool. It was really cool. I love past life readings.
So have you gone up there and visited for yourself?
Up to the Akashic Records, yeah, I've
Mhm.
actually done quite a few meditations where I took myself through, and whew, I have some history. I have a lot of history with men who treated me very poorly in my past lives,
Oh
and I
gosh.
have zero allowance for it in this lifetime. Zero
You got the
allowance.
lesson?
Oh, I definitely was taught the lesson way before I came into this lifetime. I've never been hit by a man. I've never been assaulted. I have never let myself get in situations where I could be physically or abused. I've been mentally abused. I stayed with my ex-husband way too long, but I felt it was more of a soul contract, and I was supposed to be there for him for whatever I was helping him with soul. But as soon as that contract was done, I was out of there. And
Good.
on my very last day of being with my ex of 30
Ex.
years, he tried to physically assault me.
He did?
He actually said something about physically assaulting me. And you don't want to know what I said back.
Yes, I do.
Am
It
I
started with
allowed
the
to?
F. Started with the
Okay.
F word.
So he was picking something up off of a shelf, and his like arms were like shaking and his veins were popping out, and I was telling him something about the move because I was divorcing him, and something about the painter coming over, something like that, and he gave me the most evil freaking look, and he looked right in my eyes and he said, "You better get away from me or I might hurt you," and said just in this evil voice, and I just very calmly very calmly said, "Try it and I'll stick a goddamn knife right through your heart." Don't even know where that came from. Don't even remember trying to pull the words out. I just said it. And he just like got stunned like that. And I don't talk like that.
Because she
I'm not a
doesn't,
violent
yeah.
person. There was something inside of inside of my soul that said, don't even let him go there. You show him that you're fierce and that you will never take this. And he just totally backed away. I
Good.
packed my stuff that night and
Good.
I never lived in the same house with him ever again.
Yeah, because if you didn't, he might have done something later.
Yep, that's the way I felt. I felt like I had a really interesting past life with him. I feel like he has a lot of anger towards me, and he always like tries to hold it back and kind of like keeps it down. And it would come out in these little words and the way that he said it. But that particular time, it came to the surface, and he wanted blood. It was wild, and
30
so.
years. You stayed with him 30
Yep,
years.
had my two girls with him. He's never showed any kind of anger towards me. He had anger inside. He had anger issues from his childhood and stuff like that. But I know we stem back from some past lives, just from going back to past life stuff. I was like, oh. So what I felt like I did was I betrayed him in some way, and he's holding that grudge. And
But
so
you cleared it.
what I've been trying to do is heal that between us. Like I don't communicate with him anymore, but I'm trying to heal it between our souls
Yeah.
on my end and his, so that we don't have to go into our next lives with that same.
No, don't.
Yeah,
No.
I don't want to experience that. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
choose to not do that again with him. But what
I
a great
know.
experience and lesson for me. I look back on my marriage with him with fondness, with that he gave me my beautiful children. I have a grandchild because I have an amazing stepdaughter because of
Right.
him.
You
I
can
don't
find the
look at
blessings.
Yeah, I really look at it as what I got from it, and my experiences are, you can't put a cost on experiences, a price on experiences, and so I don't have any of those like I wish I woulda, coulda, shoulda. I just don't live
But
like that anymore.
Teresa, I just look at you and I can't imagine somebody having that much anger at you.
I know, like what did I
I mean,
do?
I really can't. You just seem
No.
like such a lovely and I'm
Aw,
not trying to butter you up or anything,
thank
but you
you.
just seem such a lovely person. I can't
It
imagine
wasn't
them
about
trying
this
to harm
lifetime.
you.
Yeah, it wasn't about this
Yeah.
lifetime. I know it 100% that it wasn't about this lifetime. He has something buried inside of him about me. And so that's what I'm trying to heal. I'm trying to go back and I'm trying to heal that because we can heal ancestry pain. We can heal ancestral trauma by just recognizing it inside ourselves and asking spirit to heal those wounds and to cut those cords. Those cords. I feel we can all do that in this lifetime. We just have to be willing to do it. It's a lot of work.
You could help so many people, you know that?
That's my goal. That's my
You
goal. I
really
know
could.
that's why I was here. I felt something when I was about 25, 26 years old. I was feeling something from the universe, and I was not a spiritual person back then. I didn't know anything about this stuff, but I kept on
Really?
feeling this. Nope, didn't get into this until I was like 40. It was like more of
What
like
was
my
the what was
calling.
the what was the catalyst at 40 then?
You know, searching for something for me, for just myself, trying to find something for just me. I went back to college to become an OT, occupational therapy assistant, learning about what makes me tick, trying to figure out different religions, different this and that. Nothing was clicking except this.
Oh.
It was my spiritual journey, my spiritual walk that finally clicked. And I just went, is that why I saw spirits as a little girl? Is that why I... I've always known
Oh.
things that I should know. I have
Mhm.
intense intuition since I was very, very young. I could
Mhm.
just feel what was happening before it happened. And I think I might have discussed it with you on the show before, one of the
Mhm.
videos before about my mom leaving the house and telling her, please don't leave the house, please don't leave the house. I felt this intense urge that something was going to happen to her. And she was my,
Yes.
so yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so we just don't know why we're born with this. But I think if you really listen and you start to really search, you'll just discover more about yourself, and it'll always take you to a beautiful place.
Right. And it's always about learning and it's always about expansion and helping
Absolutely.
yourself and learning about
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. This has been very enlightening. Is there anything else you'd like to mention or anything we didn't cover?
Let's see.
Yeah, think about that.
Right? I want to make sure that I get a full experience here.
Well, yeah, and I'd like you to talk about the classes that you're
Oh yeah.
offering. And
Yeah,
yeah, we haven't talked about
I'm
that.
starting a new class. I don't know by the time this films if it'll be passed or not, but regardless, I will be offering more. Doing one this coming weekend, next weekend actually.
Oh,
It's going to be anxiety, intuition, or empath? Question mark. Helping you helping you understand the feelings inside of you because so many people are so confused by those.
so
And
what's the
so
date that it's going to be
that's going
on?
to be May 4th. It's Sunday night at 6 p.m. And I'm going to be offering many more. I'll be doing them on Sundays. They seem to be a good day so far.
Okay, so they're 1 day classes?
Yep, they're going to be 90-minute live on Zoom.
Ooh.
And I'm keeping it a max of 10 people, and it's $44. And so
Oh
that way
my
people can
gosh.
get an intense thing. I'm also giving everybody who joins in, that signs up. I'll give them a mini card reading after the session and one on one with
Teresa,
everybody. I just want to give everybody like a complete feel, like a little bonus. But
gosh,
it's just something
I'm
that's
gonna have to take one.
Oh yeah, you can. Oh, I'll give you a freebie. Where I'm still going to be doing mentorship for you.
I know, you're so kind.
But I just feel like when people have that understanding, if they're an empath or an intuitive, or if it's just anxiety, that you can just navigate life so much more with that knowledge. So having those experiences and sharing stories with each other and letting them speak and letting them have time. So someone else in the class will go, oh my God, that's just like me. That's what's been happening. And then I can give them the tools to take home with them
Mhm.
to be able to navigate this. Because when you're an empath, the world is exhausting. It's totally 100%
Yes.
exhausting just to walk
Mhm.
outside. You're
Mhm.
feeling everybody's emotions, but then try to have relationships with people and go to work and go to school and raise children and doing all the things that we have to do in our lifetime. It can put you over the edge. It puts a
Yeah.
lot of people, I believe, into the cuckoo house because they're taking on too much. And if they only realize it's actually just them feeling everybody's emotions, it's not even them, and how to block all that and how to
Mhm.
protect themselves from that, and you can have a nice, normal, healthy life. You really
Yeah.
truly can. I've seen it. I've experienced it myself, and I've actually helped many, many people, and I've helped people with children who are having these experiences.
I'm gonna check my calendar and see if I can squeeze you in before May 4th. I just don't know, but I'm sure gonna
No
see what I
problem.
can do.
Yeah, I'll offer many more. I'm
Yeah.
going to be doing them on a regular basis.
Well,
People are already.
can you give me a document or something of your classes so I can put that up?
Yeah,
Also,
I
yeah,
kind
let me
of,
do that.
I kind of bring them in sporadically, but I'll definitely see what I can do.
I'm a
I got,
Virgo. I need it.
I'm a Capricorn. You get it when you get it.
Okay, so
I'm
I
just,
should not connect with a Capricorn, right?
and Capricorns are always just like, we got so much going on all the time that it's hard for us to like focus on one thing. I've known a lot of Capricorns
Okay.
and we're very, very similar, but we're always creating something. We're always thinking of something, but we also have to be careful because we overload ourselves. And we
Okay.
don't like to I don't like to plan too far ahead. I get a little stressed out thinking, well, what if I want a vacation in that time that I book that, or somebody says
Okay.
they want me to go here. Yeah. So
Okay, so we are in Pacific Standard Time, just so
yes,
everybody knows, and you're capping it at 10, and what time does it start?
going to be 6 p.m.
Oh, 6 at night? Ah,
I'll be offering classes at different times
oh,
throughout
I did
the
not
year.
mean to
All they
react
have
that
to
way.
do, all they honestly have to do, if anybody wants to take a class from me, if you don't find one on my healingheartsmedium.com under classes, message me on my healingheartsmedium.com. There's a place to submit a message and say, hey, when are you doing your next class? And I will give them my schedule of what I know.
Okay.
Super easy.
And what if you are not one of the lucky 10? Um, are these recorded by any chance?
Yes, I will be recording them and I will be selling them for like a small fee
Good.
on
So
my
if
website.
people,
But
awesome.
most people are going to want that interaction, and that's why they want the live classes, because they want to be able to ask questions and they want to ask the right questions and stuff. But yeah, I plan on doing like it into a recorded session, and they can just
Oh,
click
I
on it.
think once we start talking about this, you're going to need more classes.
Yay! I love doing classes. That's honestly, it's so funny because I can't tell you how many people through my life, psychics, mediums, and stuff that I met, and palm readers and this and that throughout the
Mhm.
years have said, "Oh, you're a teacher," and I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not." I'm like, "Yeah, you are. You need
It's
to
coming.
teach," and
It's
I'm like,
coming. Yeah.
"Oh, okay." And then I was like, "What the hell am I going to teach?" Because this is before I became a medium. What am I going to teach? What are you
You're
talking about? I don't want
salty,
to go
girl.
back to
I didn't
school
know
to be a
you were
teacher.
salty.
It was so funny. I did not know that about myself, but I had a vision when I was in my young 20s, like I was talking about earlier. I had a vision of me standing on a stage, and there was a lot of people listening to me. I'm like, what the hell would I ever have that's interesting enough where I would have people watch me on a stage?
Listening. Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, I've given group readings, and that was me on the stage. I just did a
Hmm.
group reading last
Good for
weekend for
you.
35 people, and I've done them for as much as 65 people. And it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's my stress kind of gets to the best of
That's a
me.
lot of people.
It's a lot of eyeballs on you and all wanting a message, and but I love giving those messages, and so I really have been putting
So
myself out there more.
I could put a group reading, Zoom reading together, and you would do it.
Yep, I can do it in person and on Zoom. Yep, yep.
Okay.
That will be up on my website eventually, but right now I'm pretty much just doing them like
Oh, I
around
just
town,
have to
like
send out an
Eugene.
email.
They are fun though, and I have done them on Zoom. I have had a lady that lives in Bend, and she says I really have a
Mhm.
group of people, but we don't want to drive all the way to Eugene. And can you do it? And I said, let's try it. It was my first one I actually tried, and that was a couple years ago, and it was great. And I think it was 10 to 12 people, and it went great, and I felt very comfortable. I'm in my own space then instead of having all these bodies around. So eventually, I will be doing group readings on Zoom of like selling tickets and having like 25 people or something like that and doing that. Can't always
Okay.
guarantee a reading for everybody. And I think that's what makes me upset about doing group readings sometimes. Makes me kind of sad that I'm like, I wanted to give everybody a reading, but I cap out about 12 or 13 people because you get a little
No,
exhausted by that time.
and I've been to, not you, but I've been to those where, I'm in a room and they talk to two people and I'm thinking, well, okay, that was the best.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of sad, and so I try
It
to
is
do as
sad.
many. Yeah, the 35 people I had last weekend, I think I was able to give 12 or 13 readings, and then
No,
I just keep.
I would get together. Maybe would 10 be doable?
Yeah, absolutely. 10's a great number.
Where'd you go? Oh, there you are.
Oh,
Okay, we're gonna
yeah,
have to
10.
end this, but don't leave, okay? Because I want to talk
I,
to you. Okay,
okay.
so Theresa Watson, my friends, we'll probably have her back again. What can I say? Theresa,
Please.
thank you so much.
You're
Okay,
very welcome. Thanks,
take care.
Karen. Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.